Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be testing what I think is one of the coolest looking Lamborghinis in the game, the SC18 in multiplayer in Asphalt 9 at 2 stars. This was another car that I barely won in its event. I ended up at 5th position in Tier 2, which was the last position where you could actually win the car by only 5 points. If the person below me had had one place better in any one of the final rounds, I would have not been guaranteed to get this car, but thankfully I did. I didn't have to go through that traumatizing pack experience like I did with the Yesco, and here we are. I uploaded a video yesterday that was a sort of promo video that I made for ESL Mobile Open Season 5 Asphalt 9 Finals that I will be co-hosting again in. As a lot of you may know, I did co-hosting in the very first season of Asphalt 9 ESL Mobile Open, and this time I will be doing a remote broadcast as a co-host for Season 5. It's going to be on Saturday, July 11th at 2 p.m. Pacific Time, which is I think 9 p.m. GMT, and it will be streamed to ESL's own Twitch channel, which I will put a link to in the description, so hopefully some of you guys can come check that out. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun, and go check out that little promo video that I made if you haven't yet. It's also on ESL Mobile's own YouTube channel, which I will also put in the description. In this first race here, we've been facing a VLF, as well as two of the most popular cars in the new multiplayer, the Huracan, as well as the Corvette Grand Sport, and we managed to beat them all in this 2-star SC18. And I think this car is maybe a little bit better than people give it credit for. Or at least I haven't heard a whole lot of talk about it, probably because not many people managed to start up a whole lot in its special event, especially because we had a new update coming, and that's why I didn't want to spend a whole lot of tokens on it. But yeah, even at 2 stars, as you can see, most of its stats are decent. It goes 228 miles per hour and has good enough acceleration, nitro efficiency, and the handling and drifting is pretty good as well. I would say that its acceleration might be a little bit on the low side, because I noticed in a lot of my races, I did fall behind toward the very beginning, so it is one thing you have to watch out for if you drive this car at lower stars. But overall, I would say it has been a pretty pleasant experience, and a bit of variety from those cars that we always see in multiplayer. And Gameloft has released a statement about the multiplayer changes, and they have said that they will be going back to the old multiplayer knockdown rules, presumably in the next seasons that come, and they'll continue working on the new one. Now, I think that probably means they'll just completely switch back out the systems, and they won't keep anything from the new system for the time being until they can get it figured out. Hopefully improve the whole overpowered shockwave thing, which is actually something we see once or twice in this video. In this race, we beat a Huera, a 4100 ranked one, in our 3300 ranked car, as well as a Huracan, a VLF, and a Corvette. So about the knockdown thing, Asphalt 89 made a petition for Gameloft to reevaluate the multiplayer system, and I know I talked about a bit in the previous videos. I think players' feedback were pretty vocal about this one, and I am certainly glad to see that they are taking the players' feedback into consideration. And I hope they continue to do so, and they did say also that they would be bringing back the ability to see how many points you went up, or your rating at least, at the end of races, except just in Bronze League. So before you couldn't see it in Bronze, Silver, or Gold League, now you'll be able to see it in all of them except Bronze. So that is definitely something that I'm excited to see come back, because it's something that I have missed, and I think a lot of people have also spoken out about that over the few days that the update has been out. In this race, we're facing two Evos, a Grand Sport, a VLF, a Porsche 918 Spider. You see what all of these cars have in common. They are super high nitro efficiency, which is really one of the biggest things that you want to go for in the current system, which thankfully they are going to be looking at again. But for now, that's what you should mainly use. And here, this Huracan runs into a bit of a trouble, allowing us to pass him at the last second to come in first place. Thankfully, this car has a pretty good nitro efficiency, above 70 even at 2 stars, which allowed me to do pretty well in the season, being able to stay in shockwave and avoid a lot of knockdowns. Not all of them, you can't avoid all of them, but overall it was able to do well enough. Now, I'm going to be trying to get to Legend League in the season so that I can test the Yesco and the CN at the stars that I managed to get them at in their events, which is probably more or less the same amount of stars that you guys managed to get them at. The CN is at 1 star, I believe, and the Yesco is at at 3 stars. This is kind of along the same lines of my Senna multiplayer video from a few days ago, where I'm going back and testing cars that I won but made videos about before in max free try events and haven't yet made videos about the ones that I got myself, which I think will be more true to the performance of the ones you guys are going to have, so that might be more relevant to your use. This race here is against 2 Corvettes, 2 Huracans. You can't really escape them, can you? A P1, an Aventador SV, and a DBS Superlegra. I'm able to catch up and pass some of them pretty late in the race, and as you can see here, this drifting radius of this car is actually better than a lot of cars, even at max, being able to get around that turn there without hitting the wall. Now here, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to pass this Huracan, but I go up the right ramp, he goes up the left one, which is slightly slower, and then I just barely touch him with Shockwave and knock him down right before the finish line. I wasn't trying to knock him down. It was just like a little tap and boom. Like, that's the thing that I'm really hoping that they fix. So in this race, we are going to be facing an Egoista, a Huayra, an Aventador J, and a Huracan, all around 4,000 rank. And this is on Tiber Stream, one of the maps that I dislike the beginning of at the least, because everybody 360s at the beginning and go into Shockwave, and it's a prime time for knockdowns like what happened to me right there. So now I am back into 5 out of 5 position. But if there's one thing that I've learned throughout all my time of playing Asphalt 9, it's that if you get knocked down early in the race, don't quit early, because there's always a chance, especially in this season, where somebody ahead of you will get knocked down, or they wreck, or you're just able to catch up to them for some other reason. Like here, 2 people in front of me have already wrecked or gotten knocked down, and I'm back into 3 out of 5 position, even after getting knocked down at the beginning of the race. And I'm catching up pretty fast to the guys in first and second. One of the cars ahead of me, the Aventador J, goes off to the left for some reason, allowing me to catch up even closer to him, but then going up this jump here, I land on top of him and am into second place, just behind this Huayra BC, who I now barely managed to pass around this turn. I wasn't sure if I should have drifted there or just wall-ridden, but hey, you gotta make split-second decisions in multiplayer, and it turned out that it was okay because I came in first, even after that knockdown in the beginning against cars that were 700 rank higher than me. In our next race, we have an 8-player battle, including 3 Huracans, an Apollo N, and a Porsche 918 Spider, which seems to also be a quite popular car in this season. So I've been progressing pretty far in the Bailey event so far. I have most of the cars, the highest stars that I can get them at, except for the ZR1, which was yesterday's, I think it was, which I only had at 4 instead of 5 stars. But the rest of them look okay. But then I noticed later, just before the Bailey ones at the end, there was one for the Corvette Stingray, which is the car that you get if and only if you buy the Legend Pass. I am so afraid that this is going to turn into the same kind of paywall that we had last time with the Sion event, where the Gallardo was a paywall such that you couldn't get to all of the Sion stages at the end of the Sion event. I'm very much hoping that doesn't happen again, but we'll have to see. Now coming up here is another instance of Shockwave just being too powerful. Like, I barely even touch this guy from behind with Shockwave and he goes boom. And in the 4GT Mark II special event, the first final round has begun. Now this one, it is best to actually not drift for Shockwave at the beginning, but just use Nitro when going around the turns without drifting at all. This is better in the car that we have because it has good nitro efficiency and good acceleration. And we come in first with this Porsche 918 Spider directly behind us. Now in the final race in the video, we are going to be on New York against 3 Huracans, 2 Corvette Grand Sports, a Huayra BC, and an Aventador J. And this specific variant is one that there have been a few places that I have struggled on more than in a lot of the other variants. So when you go around the first turn here, you can sneak in to get this yellow nitro, and then still go to the right over here without taking the longer route. And now I guess it's time for a general review of this car. It is a very high-end A-class car. It has the potential to be one of the best in the class. I do not suspect it will be a king, but it's going to be pretty high up there, and even at lower stars, it does quite well in multiplayer, as you can see in these races, and I look forward to showing it to you at higher stars. So we're now just trailing this guy up here, going around these turns. He's in a Huracan, so he's able to keep very good speed around them. Now coming up here is another place where most people do know that you can wall ride over to the right, then go up the ramp, but if you go too high up the ramp, this happens, where you just lose a lot of speed. So what I would recommend is trying to go away from the wall a little bit before you get there, so you can go up the ramp lower and keep more of your speed. Now coming up to the end of the race here in the tunnels. This is the one where if you stay off to the left toward the end of the race, you'll have to go to the right very sharply. So I recommend staying to the right so you don't have to drift as much right here, and you don't risk running into the wall over to the left there. And we come in second. Thank you all for watching. Please like the video if you have enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt and other games content. And I hope to see you in my next video and the ESL stream. Goodbye!